Vitamin Water Zero Sugar has great taste, zero BS, and obviously zero sugar. For those with zero room in their calendar, zero patience for slow walkers, those who get 0 hours of sleep on a Saturday night, have zero filter, zero given, and zero interest in grabbing a plain, boring water. Grab a delicious Vitamin Water Zero Sugar today.
REI Co-op presents a perfect outdoor moment with the perfect gift. Picture this. You're ripping with your favorite person. Bluebird skies, blower powder, and frankly, you're skiing like legends.
So sick. Another lap?
Thanks to REI's curation, from lid to sticks, you nailed the gift.
No way. How'd you know?
Does it get more perfect than that? Give without guessing. Shop in store or visit rei.com.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Dr. Psych Mom Show. Today, we are going to talk about the CEO and the CFO. And no, that doesn't mean Chief Financial Officer. And we will get to what it does mean as soon as I tell you to subscribe. My most recent subscriber episode was, did you change each other's mind on anything when dating? If you didn't, then that is a red flag, and I'll talk about why. And there are over 200 extra episodes if you subscribe. Okay, so I was in session. I always make so many good jokes in sessions. So if you ever want to laugh in addition to working on your mental health, then I should be your therapist. But anyway, and there's a lot of funny people at my practice too. I do not hire based on that, but I hire based on who I like. And, you know, I like to be funny. So anyway, I made what I thought was a great joke, and I did tell them that I was probably going to use it again in a podcast, where the woman said the most common thing that women say in couples counseling, which is that she feels like the CEO of the home, and that the guy mostly gets involved if he thinks there's going to be an outlay of sex coming. So a date night, for example, with an overnight or something like that. And I said, you're the CEO and he's the CFO, the chief fucking officer. I just thought that was so funny. But then I thought I would build, and so did they, by the way. But then I thought I would build on it into a podcast because it really is a super common dynamic. I even have a podcast about the dynamic, and this is in my book, 7 Couples You Meet in Counseling, about the CEO and the employee dynamic, right? And that is not a good dynamic for a couple, a married couple, right? I mean, that doesn't sound romantic. And in many ways, this is a variant of that. So the woman feels like she's in charge of everything in the home related to the kids and related to the house and related to, you know, the groceries and the laundry and like who manages what and this and that. And, you know, and the guy just kind of does what he's told. And I have a lot of podcasts about how this is not the world's worst situation, you know. Having somebody that does every fucking thing you want them to do is great. Like, let's not joke. Like, it's like complaining about, you know, oh, you can't find good help nowadays, you know. Like, if you have like a staff with like a cook and a butler and then you're complaining about them. Okay, you know, there's only so much you could complain if you don't have to do the stuff, right? But, it is better when you feel like you're on a team, you know, and that there's a partnership. And also, if you can see that person mobilize when they think something's important, well, then you have a little bit less empathy, right, for why they can't mobilize the rest of the time. This is classic with women married to guys with ADHD, as I discuss in all my ADHD podcasts, is that they think like he doesn't care about the family because he's so bored and understimulated at home that he can't really get anything done. And they're like, he's so good at work, but at work, really, there's a lot of adrenaline. He's usually in a fast-paced job, so he does get stuff done. And he usually doesn't get it done as well as she thinks, but he saves face. And then she ends up thinking that when he really cares about something at work, then he's so much better than at home. But this is kind of the same dynamic. When he cares about having sex, then he puts in the effort, do the date night or whatever it is, or be romantic, but because it's going to lead to sex. But if it doesn't lead to sex, then he does not put in the effort. And a lot of couples feel like this. And it's a difficult dynamic, right? Because the woman may want to have sex, but then she feels kind of almost like she doesn't want to because she has a bad taste in her mouth about it because it's the only time that she feels takes ownership of a situation and plans out the whole thing from the beginning to the end. And what is the solution to this? I mean, it's really calm. Like, it's really self-evident, right? I mean, you probably thought about it yourself. What would be a solution to this? Well, the solution to this is that the guy takes over something else with the same avidity as he does the fucking part, you know? I mean, that's reality. Sometimes we just got to use some common sense. If you have the capacity to plan everything out from, you know, soup to nuts, no pun intended, in the area of sex, then you probably have the capacity to take on full ownership of another area. Maybe it would be something related to the children or something related to the home or whatever. Some guys are listening to this and they're like, well, yeah, but like basically everything that I do is wrong. And, you know, she's like so anxious and rigid. And, you know, if I take over something with the kids, but then I'm 2 minutes late to get the kids, she's going to have a shit fit. Yeah, okay. Well, you know, we need to be flexible on both sides of things. And a woman who is anxious would probably be a lot more flexible if she knew that the guy was really trying hard in service of the marriage to learn a new trick, basically, and to take over something and needed a bit of learning time and a learning curve for that to happen. Yes, you're not supposed to pick up your kids late. Also, it's not the end of the world if that happens sometimes. And a couple that loves each other can usually compromise in those arenas if everybody's intentions are thought to be good. But remember, and I've said this so many times, and some guys still don't believe me, she doesn't think the sex is about her. No matter how many different ways I say it, she doesn't think that you wanting to have sex is related to you being into her. Frequently, that's because when she wants to have sex, it doesn't have anything to do with you, unfortunately. You know, like for a woman with your sex drive going up and down over the course of the month, the lifespan, pregnancy, nursing, perimenopause, menopause, you really see that it's like kind of its own animal. And it's really a completely orthogonal construct to whoever you're with. Some women delude themselves that it's all about the guy that they're with, and then they stop having sex and they have no idea that it's related to hormones. They blame it all on the guy, right? And I've been over and over clear about how hormones are super huge. But when women realize that, the healthier women that realize that there's a huge hormonal impact on sex drive, they can't just know that part. They also know that that applies to men too. And they're right. You do want to have sex. You would want to have sex with with anybody you were married to that you loved. You would want to have sex with a million attractive women. It is an expression of love, and it is also a biological feeling, right? So if you do not seem to love her in other arenas and she feels not like a teammate in the other arenas, then she's going to think that you wanting to have sex is less about love and more about just the biological feeling of wanting to have sex. You see? So and it's both. Of course, it's both. And I say over and over, for both genders, it's both. And it doesn't feel like both if the couple is unhappy but still having sex. So like if it's a day where she felt like she did everything and was the whole CEO, and you just basically grumpily or sulkily did what she told you, and then you can bring your A game for a date night that ends up in bed, she doesn't feel like you value her. She feels like you value sex. She feels like you don't value the corporation in our analogy, but only the fucking division of the corporation, which is yours. And so it really does not lead to positive feelings and to goodwill overall. And the way that couples, again, get out of this is by the woman seeing that if she can work on her anxiety and cede a little bit of control. And some women listening are like, I don't have any anxiety. I'm like ADHD my damn self. And meanwhile, everything's fallen through the cracks and I really do need him to be the CEO. So whichever situation you're in, if you say basically, all right, I can't really do this anymore. I need you to take something over. And then he picks something that isn't fucking, right? Something else. And he takes that over and then he does a good job at it. Well, then you say, okay, he's bringing his A game for something else too, not just the thing that is most valuable to him. And this is basically all of couples therapy in a microcosm. You're trying to recognize what's important to each other. You're trying to see things more objectively, own your own part in any dysfunctional dynamics, and then move forward in ways that feel more palatable to both. So I'm not saying, of course, oh, get rid of the fucking division, layoffs are coming in the fucking division. No, instead, it would be, yes, great that he can bring his A game for all of that, but also, can he do something else that would make her feel loved and cared for and take something off her plate? Now, also, as I just said, I had a previous episode, literally my previous episode was, don't try to take like every single thing off her plate and then just say she's going to be an employee in the fucking division. That's not what she wants either. A healthy marriage, you have a whole life, a family, a home, you're in a community, all of these other things, jobs, possibly religious or civic engagement, friends, all of these things. And sex is a piece of it. Sex is one piece of a healthy life. Now, if you don't have any sex, then that turns into like a huge problem and something that people focus on so much, right? But in a healthy marriage, it is one piece of a healthy whole and a relationship where people respect each other and love each other across all these different dimensions. And so if your wife feels more like that, like you are co-CEOs, right, in this analogy, then she's going to show up more in the bedroom and she's going to show up more in the romantic sphere, which is the most important one to you, although in reality, all of them are probably important. I've never yet seen a man that says, oh yeah, like as long as she had sex with me, she could be a terrible mother. Nobody's ever said that to me, by the way. You know, because it's not real, because men don't want a woman to be a terrible mother. You know, I mean, it's just gross, really, to a lot of men. Really kind of, that's the thing that they're most disgusted by, is if the woman is a bad mother. That's the thing that they look down on the most, and that's the thing that women look down on the most in men. So, and that's completely evolutionarily appropriate and biologically understandable, is that for the perpetuation of our species, both people would want to be with somebody who can raise offspring into maturity and who is a healthy parent. So think about your relationship as a business, not as an unromantic business, but as a romantic business, but also a family business and a financial business and a home business and all these businesses. And then if she's the CEO of so many more divisions and you just have the fucking division, it's not going to go well, and you can understand why, hopefully, from this podcast. All right, I hope that y'all got a lot out of that. I hope it made some of you laugh. And as always, if you ever need any therapy or coaching, reach out to us at bestlifebehavioralhealth.com. And if you want to join the midlife group, the women's midlife group, then I will also link that at the bottom. It's a great group of women. We meet every other week on Zoom and have a private Facebook group too. All right, talk to everybody soon. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.